At night, he would lay her in his bed and sleep next to her. During the day, he would set her up in a chair and play love songs for her. Carl Tanzler was a German-born radiology technologist at the Marine Hospital Service in Key West, Florida. He developed an obsession with a young Cuban-American tuberculosis patient, Maria Elena. Sometimes the scariest stories aren't about ghosts or vampires. Often, the scariest stories are the ones that come directly from real life, like the story of Carl Tanzler. At the age of 12, he had a dream that his ancestor revealed to him the face of the woman he was destined to be with. And when he grew older, he decided he would have to do anything to make that vision come alive. Even after getting married and fathering 2 children, Tanzler continued to search for his soulmate, believing it was just a matter of time until their paths crossed. Born on July 31, 1909 in Florida, Maria Elena was a strikingly attractive girl with luxurious dark hair and an appealing shyness. She was having the worst time of her life. She had suffered a miscarriage. Shortly after the miscarriage, her husband left her and moved away. Then she came down with tuberculosis, a disease of the lungs that was killing people all around her. In desperation, her mother brought her to a local hospital in Key West, Florida, in the hopes that some new treatment might save her life. It was there that she met a man called Carl Tanzler. He was strange, no doubt about it. From the moment he laid eyes on Elena, he was eerily obsessed, claiming that he had seen her exact face in the dream when he was only 12 years old, before she had even been born. He had been looking for her ever since, thinking about every little detail of her face, dreaming about it. This strange man showered Elena with jewelry and clothes, each time claiming that he was madly in love with her. It didn't matter that he was 56 years old and she was only 21. Nothing mattered to him, only his obsession that she was his destiny. But Elena had bigger things to worry about. Trying to survive tuberculosis, she definitely did not feel that Carl Tanzler was her destiny. Yes, the gifts were flattering, but what kept her talking to him were the promises he made about her health. He said that he was an experienced submarine captain. He claimed that he had 9 university degrees. He said that he knew the medical procedures that would cure her tuberculosis, and that he could build the machines needed to do them. He gave her numerous medicines, took x-rays, and showed up with all kinds of so-called medical equipment. Turns out that he didn't have the knowledge to cure her of tuberculosis after all. Despite all the treatments, she died at her parents' home about a year after meeting him. But for Carl Tanzler, this was not the end of the story. Elena's parents were moved by Carl Tanzler's efforts to save their daughter. Yes, he was creepy, but at the same time, he had done more than even Elena's own husband ever did to try and save her. So when he offered to pay for her funeral and to have an above-ground tomb be built for her, her parents agreed. And when he asked for some of her hair, they also agreed. After the tomb was finished, Carl Tanzler was seen visiting it every night. Everyone thought it was sweet how he clung to her, but no one knew that he was the only one who had the key. No one knew he had a phone installed inside the tomb. No one knew that he was secretly preserving her. And no one knew that one quiet night, Carl Tanzler gathered up the corpse of Elena and put her in a red toy wagon. He then dragged the wagon all the way back to the hospital where he had set up a special place for Elena. Well, it wasn't exactly in the hospital. You see, behind the hospital, there sat the wingless body of an old airplane. It was here that Carl Tanzler set up his laboratory. He spent many days reconstructing Elena using wires, coat hangers, and plaster. Then he dressed the new Elena in a wedding dress and put her back in a red wagon, this time taking her to his house. And there she stayed for almost a decade. A freaking decade. At night, he would lay her in his bed and sleep next to her. During the day, he would set her up in a chair and play love songs for her on a small organ he had made, or sometimes he would just talk endlessly to her. But the hot and humid Florida weather began to take their toll on the corpse. Carl Tanzler had created his own little world inside his house, but reality kept intruding. He desperately poured disinfectant and perfume all over the place, and her skin decomposed. He used silk cloth drenched in wax and plaster to replace it. When her hair fell out, he made a wig from the hair he had asked her family for and glued it onto her skull. You see, Carl Tanzler liked to imagine that he was a scientific genius that was destined for greatness. Even though he had failed to save Elena from tuberculosis, he now convinced himself that he could reclaim her from death itself.